radio.
I'm not seeing my third speaker. Standard College.
Standard College, your third speaker is not on. Can you try to reach them?
Let me try. Just a minute.
Standard College, you still haven't found your third speaker? Standard College, I think you're going to give your speaker like 4 minutes. If they're not here by 50, we're going to start without them.
I beg to ask some help. My third speaker is in auditorium neg. I don't know. He needs help to come to where we are.
Hello, let me first talk to Rain.
Okay.
Hi. I said the people on the call have now like more bridges. So the people from Standard College, the people from Standard College, are you like still on the call? Okay. The people that are around, you're the Namirango team, right?
Yeah.
Like like all your speakers are around, the three of them.
Yes, they're all around.
Kale, what's up? Okay, so at 5 minutes past one, we're going to decide this to be our cover if they don't get back by then, because looks like they've ghosted. People from what's the school called? Are you guys back?
Yeah.
Your third speaker. Your speaker, is he here?
Said speaker from Standard College in Tungam.
So you guys are all here?
I don't know whether Benjamin is around yet.
Anyway, we're not going to wait for you at all because actually they told us when it's 5 minutes past 1, it's going to be our cover. And since you guys are like not here, haven't been here for like the last very many minutes.
So you guys, you have been there for so long.
Yeah, of course.
What's taking place exactly?
That's diabolic. What are you here to do?
Nothing. The recording.
Okay, I think it's going to be our course. Let me just tell Rain. It's like
Excuse me, Chair. I would like to confirm whether the other team is going to be present for a round or not.
at this point. Okay, are they here? I like the third speakers. I like all the three speakers here.
Yeah, Chair.
Yeah.
They were originally, I believe, so they have two speakers because in the previous one they had two speakers, and I think I see the two speakers here can. I think that's it.
I'm here. Second speaker, Standard College in Tungam.
First speaker.
I'm around.
Second, I do both first and second.
Kale,
Even the
whenever.
third speaker, I'm around.
Oh, Chair, we're supposed to start the debate now.
Yeah, first speaker team affirmative. Please start. And people who are not speaking, I beg you guys mute your microphones.
Sure. So I'll start in 3, 2, 1. So, Chair, this debate is about whether a country that has not yet built its economic foundations, whether and hasn't achieved a decent standard of living, whether it's supposed to slow down the very process that can create those foundations in order to satisfy environmental obligations designed for a world where countries have already industrialized. So you realize that we are not saying that developing countries should go ahead and destroy the environment without limit. What we're saying is that when there is a genuine conflict between the speed of industrialization and the speed demanded by internal environmental commitments, the developing countries should prioritize development because poverty is something that is so bad and it can end up affecting it in the long run. So, Chair, I just to understand what we are actually debating, right? So we are not saying developing countries shouldn't care about the environment, but they actually should, right? So you have to understand what a developing country then looks like. A developing country is not just a country with a low GDP, right? It's a country that has not yet completed the structural reformation, which is necessary for it to provide the broad material security and provide employment to its population. That means it has significant gaps in electricity, transport, manufacturing capacity, formal employment, healthcare, education, and etc., right? That means they are heavily dependent on low productivity sectors like subsistence agriculture and rely continuously on loans from these developed countries. So why this is true is that a population can have millions of people working in a subsistence agriculture, but then at the end of the day, the people are there, but what they produce is not high enough to ensure that they actually develop and live the circle of poverty, right? That's like why it's very bad. So this is an actor motion. You have to all understand that factor. And you have to set down the interests of the actor and what is not the interest of the actor, because it says this house as developing countries. So we believe the interest of the actor is poverty reduction. The government of these developing countries want to reduce the number of people unable to afford food, housing, healthcare, education. They want to reduce unemployment, and they want to increase government revenue, right? Through because industrialization will create businesses, wages, profits, trade, etc. Right? That's what we have to understand. And they also aim to achieve economic independence. We believe that these countries don't just do the whole idea of achieving like the environmental thing. It's part of its interest, but it's a secondary interest. Because first of all, you look at the people that have been able to cause those emissions to rise to such significant levels. It's historically caused by these developed countries. That means probably a country like Uganda would not want to stall its economic development because it's going to it's part of an agreement that binds them to a 30-year long-term treaty for decarbonization. Yet the people who are perpetuating this treaty are the ones who historically emitted such significant levels of greenhouse gases. Countries like USA, Germany, etc. You realize that. So you realize this is a secondary interest to these actors. You also need to understand why you should value this interest, because one, poverty is not just like the economy being static, right? It means a person cannot be able to go to school, buy food, eat, obtain clean water, and it's something that is very vital for these countries. You have to understand what international environmental emissions commitments look like, right? Paris Agreement, this UNDPS agreement. You find that they look at things such as decarbonizing, and they're not identical, right? Because some countries have the capacity to go ahead and afford while others don't. That's one thing you have to understand. And then what does rapid industry development mean? We don't define this as probably a country just accelerating expansion and destroying its economy. No, it looks like improving capacity through manufacturing, agro-processing, energy generation, transport industry, infrastructure, construction. But it doesn't mean that we are going to remove the constraints that would otherwise, it doesn't mean that we are going to like go ahead and carry out this development without minding about our environment. What rapid means is that we shall be a bit reluctant on issues such as like carbon footprint and all that, but doesn't mean we don't care about our environment. The arguments we're going to run in today's debate is that industrialization is the fastest path to structural poverty reduction, and two, industrialization provides these countries with capacity to go ahead and fund environmental protection programs to go ahead and fight the whole pollution and all that. We believe our side is better, and since my time is up, I beg to submit. Yeah, I'm ready for cross-examination.
We thank the speaker for the fine speech. We'd like to have the cross-examination. Cross-examination. Third speaker from Team Standard College.
I'm ready for my cross-examination.
Yes. Dear panel, Third speaker, Team Standard College in Tungam. Panel.
Ban on the cross-examination, you cross-examine the first speaker from affirmative.
Okay, in the round of 3, 2, and 1. Honorable Speaker, do not come on board with assertions. Explain to us how industrial development will provide funds for promoting environmental conservation.
I think you're not clear. You realize that when you go ahead and carry out industrial development, the government is able to start up many businesses able to start up, many industries start up. Government tax these businesses, we get taxation, our economy develops, and when our economy develops, we get bigger revenue, and the revenue we get, we use it to channel funds for environmental protection to things like
Honorable Speaker, another question is, we expected you to come on board explaining to us the key terms in the resolution. Who is going to fund you?
oh my days.
What does the word developing nation mean?
Pardon?
What does the word developing nation mean to you?
I feel like you just have to be called Henry to have bad manners. Because why is this kid saying, "Oh my days" to his friend? I know that's how we all feel, but we're not saying. "Oh my days." I need to do my talking. Go. 9:15. I'm undressing. If you don't have that question, good.
If you're not in the cross-examination, please mute. We are not interested in your personal affairs.
Is your mic muted?
Speaker, sorry for the interruption. You have 30 seconds to finish your cross-examination.
I finish my role.
You have 30 seconds to finish cross-examination.
Honorable Speaker, what does the word developing nation mean to you?
I don't think you are paying attention during my speech, but I clearly characterized to you what a developing nation looks like. But anyways, let me do it again since you didn't pay attention. So we told you that from our first speech, we told you what a developing nation looks like, right? A developing nation is not just a nation that is poor, but a developing nation is a developing nation is a nation that has a low GDP. It has gaps in electricity access, transport infrastructure, manufacturing capacity, formal employment, healthcare, education, etc. We showed you the interests of a developing country, that is to reduce
Time,
poverty.
Speaker.
Second speaker, first speaker from another college in Tongama side. I begin my speech on account of 3, 2, and 1. Our dear judge, first of all, read for you the resolution once again. It seems team government hasn't understood it. It says this house as a developing nation would prioritize rapid development over meeting international environmental and emissions commitments. They have tried to sugarcoat it and make it look nice, but the issue is you are going to favor industrial development, rapid over meeting. Yes, you are not neglecting the national environmental emissions commitments, but you are going to favor rapid industrial development over meeting these international commitments, right? Yes. Then this we see this house would prioritize rapid industry, meaning this one is more of a policy. We're trying to bring in a new policy whereby this policy is supposed to prioritize industrial development over international commitments. Then we remain asking ourselves, who's funding your program? Because at the end of it all, we come to realize that these international commitments, yes, the upper hand may have been foreign countries, majorly from the West, who have polluted the environment for so long, over 200 years, and have gained wealth from it. But we came to understand also that the main funders of African nations, economies, and development are the European nations, and they're the ones who are more interested in these international commitments. The moment you show them that you are going to favor industrial development over international commitments, meaning they will not fund you, because for them they fund you just for one reason, they want to see you protecting Mavera Forest, they want to see you protecting Victoria. They fund you because they want you to protect their interests in your country. The moment you go against them, you are going to cause chaos. Don't forget also, when they speak of rapid as improving manufacturing and whatever, as long as you have industrial development, meaning the more it increases, the more emissions you are increasing, the more air will get polluted, the more soil will get polluted, the more will get polluted. The moment you prioritize this over the other, meaning you are going to increase on pollution, meaning even if no matter how much time they sugarcoat it, it still represents only one thing: increase the emission, increase pollution. Meaning they are again indirectly fighting against the environment. But again, let's get to understand that a country can move from emission to green management, to a green world. Yes, these West nations made mistakes. The British, the Americans, they made mistakes, and they banned coal for over 200 years. They have polluted the environment. But now, for us as developing nations, we have again good to understand these mistakes and have found solution. And we can just go to green instead of polluting the environment. But as team affirmative, I'm expecting them to come and give us a work plan. What do they want to do? How do they want to do it? Who will fund them? Why are they doing it? These are things they are living, and yet this type of motion of today's house is a policy resolution. It leaves us wondering, then what are you debating? First speaker, we're not seeing the why, the how, the when, the who. Go ahead and explain it to us if you want us to believe in what you're saying. But at the end of it all, we come to realize that environmental issues affecting major Africa because they have no parameters. So for me, for us as team government, we have come to believe that maybe the parameters are in Africa. Come to realize that Africa is suffering more of environmental repercussions more than these European countries that are looking after, who you call developed. The moment you are still suffering the worst repercussions, yet with less development of industries. What about if you develop industries that are not green for a long time? What happens is that you will have more emissions, more pollution, more whatever, and what happens is you will suffer more of the consequences of climate change and whatever. You will suffer more of acidic rain, more of pollution and whatever. This is what we are trying to decampaign as team negative. Team negative, we're also saying we are the first victims of climate change. We have a chance to avoid the mistakes of the West. They polluted because they knew better not. For us, we know better, and so we must do better. We cannot. I beg to rest.
We thank
I'm
the
ready for.
speaker for the fine speech. We would like to welcome for examination.
I'm ready for cross-examination.
Okay. Sorry about that. I'll begin the cross-examination in 3, 2, 1. First and foremost, what are the fiats of a police in motion?
What other?
Okay, what does a police in motion fiat for? What does it imply in simple terms? Okay, what's the fiat of a police in motion?
I understand a policy motion as a type of resolution whereby you're trying to introduce a policy that has not been existing, or you want to make some changes in a policy that already exists. And so you have to show us how will you do it, when you will do it, who will fund you, if it needs funding, the parameters.
Okay.
We haven't seen anything from your presentation.
Thank you. Clearly, you don't understand the fiat. So, next question. What do you understand what a developing country is, or a developing nation is? If you do, then what is it on your side?
I agree with your definition, but I also believe a developing country is that one whose GDP isn't corresponding with the standard of the World Bank.
Okay, thank you very much. So does that mean that they have the capability to bring in those policies that are being effected in terms of the environmental and emissions commitments?
It remains still simple.
Yes or
A
no?
developing nation needs to be funded. Funding is coming from the big countries, which may not fund your thing because it's against what the systems. Please, I beg to rest.
Can we have the next speaker? You don't really need to wait for an invitation, you just speak.
Am I audible?
Very.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Hello. Am I
Yeah, you
audible?
are audible. You are audible.
yeah, it's enough.
I can't hear you.
It's enough.
Okay. Okay. Now it's important to understand that we are prioritizing, not leaving out the other. We simply believe that for us to actually fight and also cater for sort of our commitments to emissions internationally, we need some sort of funding. The reason as to why countries abroad or outside, there's a reason that's why developed countries can actually meet these commitments. It's simply because they have money that they actually get from industries. Look at a country like the US, a country like China, and all those. Those are highly industrialized countries, and so they can generate revenue to actually invest in such things. But also, we give you vast examples, like for example, drought. How are we going to handle climate change in regards to areas that are facing drought and all that? We think it's important for us to invest in industries that make irrigation pumps, boreholes, and all that. And that is why we're actually fronting the general idea of industrialization so that we can even get equipment to use in fighting the sort of climate change that arises and also meeting our commitments, but also earning money, getting money to sort of cater for that. It's equally important to know that climate change is still going to continue even without industrialization. What does that necessarily mean? It necessarily means that we need to develop a sort of financial muscle that we actually need to sort of then generate income to fight all this. They come and talk about things like green energy. However, we still need resources to build things like solar energy, to build things like hydrogen equipment and all that. That is exactly why we are saying let us industrialize, and then we are able to meet those commitments. They talk about things like social funds that we do not find that much relevant. However, we think our local revenue and other sources of funding that will continue coming through, though even when reduced, should actually be prioritized towards industrialization so that we can later generate money to sort of address our climate change commitments. It's also important to note that we are looking at responsible industrialization, not irresponsible industrialization. Rapid does not necessarily mean sort of recklessness and all that. We are looking at some sort of setting up industries that have a sort of technology that will sort of emit that will sort of hold carbon dioxide and all those other greenhouse gases, and that can only be best done the moment we industrialize. We clearly tell them about things like the concept of setting up industries, the concept of incentive. We look at without industries, why without us having industries, why would governments actually invest in meeting these environmental commitments? We actually think there is need for industries to be established to sort of create an incentive for governments to actually come and meet these kind of commitments. Now we're looking at things like industrialization and reducing poverty. We think when factories are created, people get employed, and when they get employed, they earn money that they use to change their standards of living. Probably one that has not been having a car will be able to buy one. One that has been feeding once a day will be able to feed twice. They will be able to buy land and all that. This is more likely to happen because when they're employed, they sort of get salaries that they actually use, or they get wages that keep flowing in, and in that way, poverty is reduced. Equally, we think government revenue comes through because when government revenue comes, government uses this revenue to actually go and tackle the general idea of climate change, following those commitments that we have. Remember, the commitments that were set are very expensive for developing countries, so developing countries cannot go in for them. They actually need to get a financial muscle that the developed countries are not willing to provide. These countries are supposed to invest in their industries to get that kind of income. We look at things like economic development, that equally results into environmental capacity. We look at the fact that if we have a financial financial muscle, if we have income, if we have money, that is the only time when we can actually be able to invest in clean technologies like solar panels, wind turbines, electric vehicles, water treatment, and all that. At the end of the day, we also look at job creation. Pardon me? Time up?
Yep.
Okay.
I beg to begin with cross-examination. I begin the cross-examination in 3, 2, and 1. Dear Speaker, have you ever seen responsible industrialization in the world, yet we are having the highest rise in pollution and gases emissions globally?
With investment in technology, we can attain this.
How comes China, a very developed country, is still having pollution in its country, yet it has the money?
No, but they can run efforts to fight climate change and pollution because they have money.
And you think you as a developing nation, you can do that, yet developed nations are still suffering pollution.
Repeat your question.
You think you as a developing nation, nation can do responsible industrialization? No developed countries haven't yet done it before.
See, the whole concept is about funding. Who does it to a greater extent? Who does it to a greater extent?
Are you aware that European Union is refusing products that are produced in illicit ways that cause environmental pollution?
That calls for proper industrialization so that we can generate money.
And you do not have the capacity to do that. Third question: industrialization needs resources. You are a poor country. You are a developing country. Where do you think you get the money to do the industrialization from? The project of industrialization from?
We actually generate local revenues within ourselves, but also we have external.
Are you aware that developing nations are debt burdened already? They do not have already money to look after its own economy, its own small economy.
That is why we should industrialize so that we get our own money to cater for our own economies.
Using which resources, yet you're poor?
Pardon that?
Using which resources, yet you are poor?
We are poor, but we have been running projects, so we can still run this project despite the fact that we are poor.
Yes. Are you aware that the moment you prioritize an indirect industrialization is an indirect way of living out the option? I beg to rest. I begin as second speaker. Negative. I begin my speech on 3, 2, and 1. Our dear judge, get to note that the moment you prioritize industrial development over environment commitments, you are already showing that you have a side and you are leaving out one side. The moment you prioritize, meaning your focus will get more on the priority and it will become less on the less priority. Meaning here globally, it has been said all over all countries. It is very well known that the whole world needs to give environment as a priority because the pollution is every day is increasing on whatever. The moment you prioritize in industrial development and leave out and then over environment, meaning you are leaving out environment indirectly. So not what our dear judge. Secondly, industrialization needs resources, as I have told you. It needs resources for investment. And you need the money to start up a factory. You need the money to start up a power plant. All these need the money. As a developing nation, do you have the money? You are already the debt burden. Take, for example, Uganda is a developing country, and so the debt burden, it's even going beyond whereby it's even causing alarm in the country. Now, a developing country, you are already debt burden, you don't have money to finance your own economy, small economy, you want to take up industrialization as a way of revamping the economy. But to revamp the economy, you need the money itself to invest first. Where is the money going to come from as a developing nation? This is what we have been looking for in their speech or formative speech. Who's going to fund them? Because you understand the developing nations are already poor. They don't already have money. Now you want to, again, burden them with industrialization. Who's going to fund them? Here, meaning the idea is just a belief. It's just unethical, actually. It's just a claim, but they don't have evidence. Come and prove to us where the money is going to come from. 3, EU is refusing products that are produced in illicit ways. Get to note this. Even Ugandan country, for instance, as refused to go to Europe. Why? Because people used to cut down trees to plant homes. European Union does not want this, and other organizations. The moment you prioritize industrialization over environmental commitments, then come here and explain to us what will be the market of produced goods. And industry produces goods. These goods need a market. If the market because you have prioritized industry over environment, then who will buy your products? It still remains that you are going to invest in case you have the money, you will invest in, and then you will not get out. It's like it's a loss. You don't have money, but still your plan is again going to destroy the market, the small market you have. It still remains unethical and just a claim. It has no evidence to back it up. Where is the market going to come from? Yet people do not want you to prioritize this good you put over environment. Thirdly, responsible industrialization isn't there at all. Our dear judge, get to note this. It's not there. China, very developed, very rich. America, very developed, very rich. India, rich. These countries commit almost 60% of pollution, air, water, land pollution on the global surface. Now, if these developed rich countries cannot afford to reduce pollution in their own countries through responsible industrialization, what makes the government think they can, even on a small extent, have responsible industrialization in developing countries which are already poor? Like, even if developed countries don't have the money to finance responsible industrialization, how come developing countries have got this vague idea? Lastly, what is the point of being rich? Let's start with you tomorrow. Like, you want to be rich by prioritizing industry over environment. Yes. Now, let's assume it all goes through. The moment you prioritize, you will leave one lagging behind. And remember, environment needs all your attention as the globe. If you prioritize one, meaning environment will remain behind. What happens? Developing countries in Africa are facing the worst repercussions of pollution, of all environmental-related disasters. Now, what happens if prioritize one over the other? You leave one behind. So, the point of being rich, let's kill tomorrow. Like this will cause problems. I beg to yes. I'm ready for cross-examination.
I want to confirm audibility. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, I'll start my cross-examination in 3, 2, 1. When you go ahead and prioritize, okay, what are the interests of the actor on your side of the house?
What, like, use simple English? What do you mean? Don't try to confuse the house.
What's the interest of developing countries from
The interest
your
of
side
developing
of the house?
countries, yeah, it's to improve their standards of living through improving infrastructure, road, education, and whatever. That's the interest. That's their main interest.
Okay. Do you think you can achieve that when they prioritize environmental protection and rapid development on your side of the house?
That isn't our point. Our point is your argument is unethical. It's just a claim. You cannot prioritize in this development yet other countries don't want you to prioritize it. But this I agree with you.
But you realize we have a problem in this debate that we have to solve. What's the problem on your side of the house?
According to us, as Team Negative, we see the problem here is who, like, sustainable development, sustainable, want to see something that is sustainable. Industrialization, but sustainable industrialization. So you are saying avoid the mistakes of the West and go green. You
But
still have
that's
green industry. It's
the,
still there.
the motion gives us a problem. The motion tells us developing countries need to have to alleviate themselves from poverty, but at the same time have that whole bit of conservation. So when a country that is poor, when you prioritize protecting the environment and then you leave aside development, how will that country get money to actually solve the problem of poverty that they
We have
face?
not said prioritize the environment over industrialization, but what we are saying is you cannot prioritize industrialization over environment currently because countries won't accept, you won't have a market for your goods, they will not sponsor you.
Okay, thank you. Chair, you can see that I don't understand this debate.
Okay. The third formative speaker. I'll begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. Chair, I think this motion from the start clearly depicts that it's an ACTA motion. An ACTA motion means that you're supposed to work in the best interests of the ACTA. In simple English, you're supposed to work in the best interests of the developing nation. Henry goes ahead to ask him, what are the interests of this developing nation? He says to solve the standards of living, to improve the standards of living, alleviate poverty among the people, build economic dependence. That is what inherently Henry started with at the first point in his first speech. He coincides with that and actually hits himself in the foot at that point. Now, why is that necessarily detrimental to their case, right? Because at the point in time where we show you that the interests of the ACTA are to alleviate things like poverty and build that economic dependence, which will later bring on those impacts that you have showed you, it is then best that you actually bring up a format or a strategy that best brings that, and that is through a rapid industrial development. None and not overusing the environmental and emissions commitments, right? Why is that so? Because we clearly showed you, again, in Henry's speech, that through the rapid industrial development, you're not doing reckless industrial development. That's one thing I want you to understand in this debate. And that's one thing that they fail to understand in this debate. And two, the motion clearly says prioritize. That means the things are going to work hand in hand, yes, but one will work more over the other. That means we are going to prioritize the rapid industrial development. How? By reducing the constraints that would slow industrialization, as Henry clearly stated in his first speech, and two, expanding on the productive capacities of different industries within the country. That does not mean that I'm going to go ahead and fill the whole country with carbon. No, it means that I'm going to do this, but in a sustainable way, using carbon mechanisms and different things that are there in existence, right? That does not necessarily mean that I'm going to leave the other side going ahead and go haywire. Now, that's one thing that they fail to understand. Now, who best achieves the interest of the actor, right? We show you that our best interests of the actor in this case are poverty alleviation and economic dependence, right? What does team opposition say? Team opposition says that through they don't even provide their case. They're just actually doing total rebut without actually providing us with their case. But what I think would be the ultimate case for them would be that, because of these environmental emissions commitments, right? They're going to be able to provide a sustainable environment for the people to exist in, right? And keep on working. But right, what do we show you in our first speech? We show that these people are really already living in a society that is already enslaved in kind of poverty, right? That means that even if they keep on working, they're going to work at a level of poverty that is below the poverty line, meaning they're still going to have low levels of education, they're still going to have low levels of productivity, they're still going to have things that affect them in terms of their development and that sort of stuff, right? And what does that breed about? It breeds about the environmental degradation at the end of the day that they are trying to so-called protect, right? Now, what does that mean? It means that these people are actually going to just be putting water in a bucket that has holes in it, right? That means at the end of the day, the water that they're putting in is the money that they're going to be spending in those environmental emissions and things of that sort, right? What happens that they're going to be spending a lot of money in it to provide that money which they actually don't have, right? But again, what happens after that is that they're going to just keep on building the thing, to keep on funding until without solving the root cause of the problem, right? We show you that on Team Affirmative, we actually solve the root cause. How? By going ahead to solve the poverty itself by providing rapid industrial development, right? What does this rapid industrial development do? It provides these people with the money in order to provides them with job opportunities, first of all, to go ahead and work. But two, it provides the governments with the money in terms of revenue, in terms of taxes being collected, right? That revenue can be reimbursed and be put into other sectors of the economy to actually make the people thrive, right? And what happens when these people thrive? It means that they are going to bring about more economic policies that are going to be more good for the people, right? At that point in time, we best show that we not only solve two problems at the school, but we also best solve those problems at the same time. At that point in time, I beg to rest my case by saying this debate has been won by team proposition.
Third speaker.
My
Team
third
off.
speaker is my third speaker is off. I don't know. Should I do it?
We're going to give him 5 minutes. You want to do it?
Okay,
You want?
No, let him do it. We have already waited enough.
Yeah, if you want, and please do, cause man.
Okay. I begin my speech on account of 3.
2, and 1. Our dear judge, first of all, come to realize that there is debate. What does it all? Yes, we agree. What does it all? What has it been centered on? Yes, the team affirmative is trying to solve the interests of the actor, isn't it? And they are saying that the actor here needs one. We have agreed upon it. Actor needs improved infrastructure, needs good roads, good medical health, and whatever. Yes, he's a developing country and he needs to also be developed like those other people. But again, we understand that rapid development, yes, may be a solution, but it is still not a sustainable way because it will not bring out good results. Here we have given them an option that they can opt for green ways of survival. First of all, developing countries have a small population and whatever. They have told them that as a affirmative, they can opt for green ways of industrialization of survival. As far as the economy is concerned, first of all, they can opt for maybe biogas and whatever, just to produce good products. But when they opt for industrialization, where we need things like where we shall be having carbon emissions, and then come here to claim that they shall do it in a responsible way. Yet even the developing countries are not doing it in a responsible way. I've not seen any country doing it. Actually, emissions keep increasing every year, every now and then. This is a rise of sea levels or temperatures and whatever, leading to climate change and whatever. If there was responsible industrialization anywhere in the country or anywhere in the world, then those developing countries like India, China, and whatever, they would have opted for it. But then they come and tell us that they will be industrializing, but not reckless industrialization. Non-reckless industrialization isn't there. If it was there, other countries would have done it. Every country's interest is to also protect the environment because the environment affects all of us. But by the fact that it isn't there, that's why we are still having increased pollution and whatever. They cannot prove to the house in such a way that it even exists. Third of all, we have asked them how will they finance, how will they start up these industries if they're already poor? They're already poor. It's like the actor is already poor, and he wants to start up an industry. Then how will he start up the industry? He must work hand in hand with the European nations to get the investment to start up these industries. But don't forget, these commitments are in favor of the European man. The American wants them to be prioritized over. The moment you show him or the white man that you are not going to prioritize his interest, he will not give you the money to start up this thing. Meaning, what they have is just a claim, can't even be defended at all because they will still fail to start industries in the first place. Third of all, we have also asked them, where will they be selling the products? Since the moment you say you are prioritizing industrialization over environment, meaning you are going against the whole world. These commitments are international. The moment you go against the whole world, what happens? These people will not support you. They don't buy your products. You are betraying them. You committed yourself to the commitments. Now you are going against them. We've also given them an example. European Union is refusing those products that are produced in illicit ways as far as the environment is concerned. So we have told them we are the first victims of climate change. The moment you also destroy your own climate by prioritizing industry over climate, what happens? What happens is the effects of climate change will increase upon you. You do not have tomorrow. So what's the importance of being wealthy, being rich? Your tomorrow isn't guaranteed. Second of all, we told them we have a chance to avoid the mistakes of the West. Yes, the West polluted the environment to get rich because they never knew better. Now, since we know better, we have wise brains and whatever, we can still find solutions to maybe greener industries instead of going into industrialization, which has grave repercussions and isn't effective in that regard. Our dear judge, I beg to rest by saying Team Negative has won this because of what it has shown you. I beg to rest.
Okay, we thank the debaters for the fine speeches. This is a silent round. So yeah, good luck.
Thanks for the debate, guys.